Hello everyone. Today, we will enter the series of courses on architectural construction. Before starting our course, let's take a look at these pictures. We cannot help but have this question here. Why is a concrete strip placed in the wall? Why is the last batch of transfers built diagonally? Why is the middle of the wall built in such a shape, and so on? These issues are all related to building construction. After completing this course, these questions will be answered. Before the first class, it is necessary for us to clarify two issues related to our course. Firstly, what is architecture? And secondly, what is architecture construction? Firstly, let's explore the first question. What is architecture? Before answering this question, let's look at a few sets of pictures. In this set of pictures, we respectively see residential buildings, schools, and office buildings. Do we think they are buildings? Obviously, yes. Moreover, residential buildings meet our living requirements, while schools and office buildings, respectively, meet our learning and office needs. That is to say, buildings have different functions. Let's take a look at the second set of pictures, which includes a train station, an agricultural planting base, and industrial factory. It is obvious that they are also buildings, which respectively meet our needs for transportation, agricultural production, and production of components. In engineering, our definition of architecture is a general term for buildings and structures, which are created by humans to meet their material and spiritual needs, and fixed spatial environments. This definition contains two layers of meaning. Firstly, architecture is designed to meet certain needs. From the two sets of pictures above, it can be seen that such as residential, office, production, and so on. Second, builds includes buildings and structures. The so-called buildings refer to houses that provide people with life, learning, working, living, and various productive or cultural activities, while structures refer to facilities that indirectly provide services to people, such as water pools, water towers, and supports. Therefore, the key to distinguishing between buildings and structures depends on whether people can directly engage in various productive or non-productive activities within them. What is directly involved is buildings, and vice versa is structures. Let's take a look at the second question. What is building construction? As we started earlier, why is a concrete strip placed in the wall? Why are the last bricks slanting? Why is the middle of the wall built in such a shape, and so on? These issues are all related to building construction. The so-called architectural construction refers to the discipline that studies the construction, principles and methods of each component of a building, and we do not study it from the perspective of the entire building itself, but from the perspective of the various components that make up the building. That is, we study the construction principles and methods of the building's foundation, walls, floors, stairs, and other components. From the above description, we can see that there are various types of buildings, so it is necessary to classify them. Next, we will talk about the classification of buildings. Buildings have different types, according to different classification standards. Here we will mainly discuss four classification criteria, classified by the nature of use, scale, number of floors and height, and load-bearing structure of the building, classified according to the usage requirements of the building. It includes productive buildings and non-productive buildings. Productive buildings include industrial buildings and agricultural buildings, with the former meeting industrial production and the latter meeting agricultural production, while non-productive buildings include residential buildings and public buildings, which provide us with places for living, learning, office, and other needs as humans. According to the scale of the building, it can be divided into high-volume buildings and large-scale buildings. The so-called high-volume buildings refer to a large number of buildings, such as residential areas, which is reflected in the quantity. Large-scale buildings refer to a small number of buildings, but with a large volume, which is reflected in height, size, and other aspects, such as super high-rise buildings and some commemorative buildings. According to the number of floors and height of buildings, we classify them into low-rise, 1-3 floors, multi-rise, for 6 floors, and high-rise, 10 floors or more. When the height of a building exceeds 100 meters, it is considered a super high-rise. Finally, according to the load-bearing materials, they are divided into wooden structures, brick and stone structures, hybrid structures, reinforced concrete structures, and steel structures. Today, we mainly studied the definition of architecture, the meaning of building construction, and the classification of buildings. In the following courses, we will systematically learn the construction of various components,